the heck are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I have to tell a funny story about Kat before she tells us.
No.
Before she tells us all about what's going on in the food world these days. So, Kat and I work in the same building, or at least we're both sometimes in the same building. We both, have sort of schedules where we aren't always in the building. And about 2 years ago, I didn't know Kat hardly at all. We saw each other on the elevator maybe, once every 2 or 3 months and knew each other to, sort of wave as we were going on to different floors. And I was in Tulsa for a Great Plains Journalism Conference and picking up some awards for the Post-Dispatch. And I see this woman sitting at a table in the banquet room. And I say to myself, I know her. Where have I worked with her before? What newspaper did I used to work at where she's at? And I keep looking, and I finally go over, and I was like, wait a minute. Don't we work in the same building?
We do.
We both made it to Tulsa in, separate vehicles.
We should have carpooled.
We should have carpooled. We should have, but that's the way it is. So good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Good to see you. Tell us you were telling me that Mission Taco is now open in Central West End.
Yes. So they have the location at 398 North Euclid. And for those of you listening who have never been to Mission Taco, get yourself to Mission Taco.
It's good stuff.
It's wonderful. And so the Tilford brothers, one of the things that they do that is extremely unique is they make their own masa. And so masa is the dough, the corn-based dough that is what makes tortillas. And so they have a place on the hill where they get locally raised, non-GMO corn, and they make their own fresh masa, which is highly unusual. And they use that to make their tortilla chips, to make their tortillas, their soft tortillas that hold all their tacos, all their burritos, everything that they kind of wrap all those wonderful ingredients in. They make themselves, and that is very, very unique. And so the food at Mission Taco, the menu is very simple. It's tons of great tacos, burritos, and tortas, and then some great apps and wonderful, wonderful cocktails and a great beer selection. But some of the tacos that I've had, they have this fried shrimp taco with like mango
I've had
salsa.
that one.
It's
I've
really,
had that
really
one. It's good.
The duck taco is back on the menu, and the duck is given this kind of almost sweet agave glaze to it. It's wonderful, and lots of warm kind of baking spices. Delicious. They have house-made chorizo, and chorizo is that spicy Mexican sausage, and they pair that with like some pickled jalapenos, and it's just everything that they have on the menu is fresh and bright, and it's perfect for days like today, because the location in the West End has an awesome patio. You sit right there in the middle of the West End. It's like prime people watching, and even if you can't snag a spot on the patio, all those big windows that overlook that corner, it's great. And their other two locations are the original in the Del Mar Loop, and then the other one is right there in Soulard, which is that kind of renovated garage. Yep. And they're going to be opening up a spot in Kansas City later on in the year too. So these guys,
I've been to their other two locations. I have not yet been to the Central West End.
It's only been like a couple weeks.
So looking forward to going there. What else is going on?
So the other spot that I want to talk about is Cello, which is the wonderful restaurant at the Four Seasons. And if you've never been also to Cello, you really should check it out. And especially now because they have refreshed their menu. Chef Colucci is a native of the Piedmont region of Italy. And before he came to St. Louis to join the family at the Four Seasons, he was cooking in Venice. And so he really brings a deep understanding, obviously, of Italian cuisine. And this new menu is very focused on traditional Italian food that he grew up with. And so, for example, there's just a very simple olive plate where it's olives that are from his region of Italy, just dressed very lightly with some cold pressed extra virgin olive oil. There's a squid ink pasta that I absolutely adore that has this bagna cauda sauce. So it has this wonderful kind of like salty, briny anchovy flavor to it, excuse me, along with, just lobster. Have you ever had squid ink pasta?
No.
It's black.
No.
It is so dramatic looking.
Wow.
Yeah, it's...
I see, that's the funny thing about food. When you get food that looks different than you expect it to look, I have to do a double take, and my palate isn't ready to taste it.
Well, and the first time I had squid ink pasta was at Mangia Italiano a bazillion years ago. And it has this really interesting, lightly briny flavor, but it's not a strong flavor. But the color is so striking and so gorgeous. On the menu, they also have this panzanella, which is not your typical panzanella. It is this warm and soft, beautiful bread that has come out of the oven with this fresh burrata and heirloom tomatoes. It is delightful, so good. And then just a ton of other. They have a brand new kind of like beautiful veal dish, which is like pounded and breaded, very traditional. But the way that they're creating these dishes, everything is just it's wonderful. You really should go. And fantastic wine list. It's very, very good. And if you haven't been to Cello, it has that fantastic view of the Arch in downtown and then over the Mississippi River, so you feel very connected to the city. And you know what's more St. Louis than Italian food? And
yeah,
so
tell me about it.
It's really great. So definitely check it out.
Sounds good. Now, earlier you mentioned two of my favorite words in the English language, pizza and beer.
Yes. We have an event series with the folks at Channel 9 because Feast TV airs on PBS on 4 stations across the region. But here in St. Louis, it airs on the 9 network. And so we have this series of monthly events that are inspired by the show. And so we have a pizza episode and a beer episode. So we married the two for the June 17th the June 17th event. And it's going to be in the Public Media Commons. It's $15. We have Cello is going to be there. PW Pizza, Truffles Butchery is going to be there with a bunch of charcuterie, extra virgin and olive ovation.
Is PW Pizza that place over like in the basement of that other restaurant?
You're thinking of Vindicet.
Yeah.
And so Vindicet is on top, and it's Paul and Wendy Hamilton. They also in 1111. They have there's a Centennial Beer House, all of
I've
that.
had their
Yes,
pizza. It's good.
It is very good, and so it's going to be just wonderful Italian food. There's going to be Dogtown pizza, crushed red, sauce on the side. So if you are a lover of pizza and all things Italian and beer, Urban Chestnut, Four Hands, Earthbound, Schlafly, everybody's going to be there. So definitely come on out.
June 17th.
Yes.
Awesome.
Friday.
Anything else real quick?
Well, the new June issue is out. I brought you a copy.
Awesome.
It is our ode to farms and farmers, and so it is out on stands now.
And in the headline, it's got my favorite child's game, Duck, Duck, Goose.
Oh, there you go.
So we're ready to go.
That's a story about actually a guy in southern Missouri who is doing duck and goose eggs. Have you ever had a goose egg?
No.
They're big and they're really rich and they're popular in places outside of the U.S. And so he's bringing that to Missouri.
Okay, you had me with the squid ink pasta. I'm not sure I'm ready to do a goose egg. Maybe after 2 or 3 urban chestnuts.
Okay, there you go.
Possibly. Kat Neville, publisher of Feast Magazine, in for her weekly segment brought to you by the Fountain on Locust, home of the ice cream martini.